Hello and welcome to Songs for the Struggling Artist, the blogcast. This is episode 462. My name is Emily Rainbow Davis. Last week I had to do a rebroadcast due to many events happening kind of in the same time bubble. And the songs that were on the docket for this episode now, were complicated, and I knew I wouldn't be able to just slam them out in a couple of minutes. I knew it was going to take some doing. So I'm back on the game. This episode would have been last week's episode, but it is in fact this week's episode. Great. It doesn't matter. And that has meant that the song is actually different than it was going to be, which I'll tell you about later. But meanwhile, this post is a little bit about casting and acting and auditioning and voice work and all that stuff. So this is a very inside theater baseball type of post. So hope you enjoy it. It is called The Limits of My Imagination. Generally, I have a lot of faith in my imagination. It comes up with a lot of things. It stretches out in several directions. I can imagine plays, movies, songs, adventures, and disaster scenarios. I keep my imagination in good working order, and it can do a wide variety of tasks. But one thing I have understood it cannot do reliably is guess how an actor will read a script. Recently, I was casting the 3rd season of The Dragoning and listening to lots and lots of auditions. I'd asked folks to record a small portion of the text for various characters, and hundreds of people generously did so. Another 100 or so just sent me their audio reels, and I guess expected me to imagine them in a part. And maybe that works for people who are looking for a particular kind of vocal quality. But because I'm looking for someone to activate my text, I just kept thinking, my imagination is not that good. A lot of people would say, I read this character, but I'm open to any of them. And I know why they say that. I would say that too if I were auditioning. Of course I'll play any part that someone can imagine me in. But what I'm realizing now, sitting on this side of the casting table, is that it is rare for someone's imagination to be that expansive. Unfortunately, I need to hear it to imagine it. Has it happened that someone read for a part and I thought, maybe this other part? Yes, absolutely. And in auditions for callbacks for things I'm casting in person, I just ask them to read that and sometimes have it confirmed. Yes, they were better for that other part, and sometimes they're not. But for audio, I'm either looking for someone to nail exactly the rhythm I had in my imagination, or to surprise me and bring something entirely new to the table. I didn't imagine that character as French, but this French actor's take on it is very interesting. She could be French. Or I imagined a younger person when I wrote that part, but there are some interesting layers that come out with an older voice. Because I'm the writer, I can change it if I want to. But the thing of it is, I would never think to cast someone just for the sound of their voice and then suggest they try it with a French accent, which is, I think, what a lot of people imagine would happen. In person, sure, maybe. If it's not working and a French accent might help, let's try it. Why not? But with the world's voices available to me in audio, if I want a French character, I just find a French actor. A lot of people seem to think the acting is in being able to do an accent or to do a wide variety of voices and styles. And I think I thought that was one of my main values as an actor too. But I think now that the real goods are being able to sink into a text and speak it like you mean it. Turns out I'm less interested in people's range or skills or accents and more interested in whether they sound like a person saying the words I wrote down for someone to say, like they're making it up. And I can't imagine how someone is going to do that. I am wrong a lot of the time. I think that someone is going to be perfect for something, and then they're not. I think they're going to be right for one part, but then they surprise me with another. I haven't auditioned for anything in years, but I feel like I've learned something valuable in going through this listening process. Next time I audition for something, I will just read the text that's offered. Read it like a person who would say it. And I would leave off impressing anyone with my range or accents. If they wanted an accent, they'd ask for it. The people listening most likely just want to hear someone nail it. And I know now that not everyone can nail it, even if I imagined they would. Turns out my imagination can only go so far. So this one is funny because I wrote it when we were casting, which was back in June, but I didn't want to post it right away just because I felt like, I'm sensitive to the process of people going through casting, and most of the time people don't really make the connection between the theater stuff and the audio dramas and whatnot and this podcast or the blog itself. But, just didn't feel like something I wanted to be talking about in the moment while we were in the middle of that process. And now we are not only long done with that process, but we're actually at the very tail end of recording the podcast just in general. We just have, a few more bits of episodes to go, and then all the recordings will be in, and now we're in the process of editing. So it's just funny. The time passes. So I'm not thinking about casting these days. I'm thinking about, working with actors and stuff. So what song am I going to give you? Well, this is the thing. I went through a long list of songs about imagination. And of course, Pure Imagination is a good idea. It's been covered a lot. Like, there are a lot of really great covers of Pure Imagination from Willy Wonka. And the chords are kind of hard, and I wasn't that excited about it. So I listened to a bunch of other songs, and I was leaning towards The Temptations, Just My Imagination, and I really was working on it. If I had recorded this podcast last week, it would have been Just My Imagination. It was hard. It's harder than I would have thought. Like, the chords are really simple. It's really a 2-chord song with like 1/3 chord for like one time. So chord-wise, super easy. Melody-wise, kind of complicated, and I was having trouble getting it into my brain. But I was also toying with a couple of other songs. One was a Daryl Hall and John Oates Imagination song, which was super fun, but also like I could not play it. And then this Laura Branigan song from the Flashdance soundtrack. Now, I have to say, Laura Branigan is a name that I knew at the time, but I paid no attention to her whatsoever while she was like the thing. So I know nothing about Laura Branigan, and I don't have a relationship with her aside from like, oh, she's that lady who I didn't really listen to at the time. So this song I did not know before. I guess I didn't have the Flashdance soundtrack. I know What a Feeling, but otherwise have no idea of what else was in the Flashdance soundtrack. And it's this Laura Branigan song. And I tried it like earlier last week, and I was like, no, because it's a lot of one chord, basically, which on an acoustic guitar is so boring. But then for my birthday, I got my amp repaired. So I was able to practice on my electric. And one single chord on an electric is actually a little fuller. It somehow works better. So I was able to work on this song. And so I did. So I will play that for you in just a moment. Meanwhile, thank you so much for listening. If you like this podcast, please tell someone about it. Like, review, subscribe, give it 5 stars in your podcast app. I just discovered that I hadn't rated like any podcasts in my podcast app. I am on Pocket Casts. And I was like, oh, I look at all these podcasts that I need to give 5 stars to. So I went on a star rampage. I couldn't rate this podcast because I've never listened to it on that particular app. And I don't generally listen to it because I listen to it when I record it. So it's not really a thing I listen to. It's just a thing I make. But it wouldn't let me rate it because I'd never listened to it on Pocket Casts, which is very funny. It was like, listen to this podcast first. And I was like, oh, I mean, I will. But anyway, this one, and there was, I think I had never listened to the Defense on there either. Somehow I had listened to the Dragoning, so I could rate the Dragoning. But I thought that was very funny. So you can do all that. And if you'd like to support this podcast, that would be amazing. Patreon.com/Emily R. Davis is the hotspot, but there's also Ko-fi, there's PayPal. You could do the paid subscription on Substack. And if you have a place you like to support artists, let me know about it. I'm happy to join. Mostly, though, I thank you for listening. Your listening means a lot, and I appreciate it a great deal. So, what can I tell you about Imagination by Laura Branigan? Well, it's obviously on electric guitar. It's been a while since I've played my electric. Miss Charlotte Bronte is my guitar's name. And I often record the songs sitting on my little recording stool so I can see, my computer and have the mic and, have everything kind of together, because I'm usually trying to also record both guitar and vocals in the same moment from the same mic rather than trying to separate them out. But this time, because I'm on electric and I plug the electric straight into the computer, I did have to separate out the tracks. And that meant that I'm standing up for this song, which is actually quite necessary because it is demanding vocally. So there's some confusion around the lyrics. The copy of the chords and lyrics that I had said one thing, and then when I looked at the lyrics on Spotify, it said another thing. So if you're like, I don't think that's the right lyrics when you listen to it, you're probably right. I just went with the lyrics that were with the chords that I had, and I'm not sure they're correct. If I were to do it again, I'd probably go with the Spotify lyrics. But who knows what is actually correct? I mean, I know from that old 97 song I did a few months ago that they are often incorrect on Spotify and in many places. So you never know. Probably doesn't matter. Anyway, please enjoy Imagination. He says that he can read my mind, the power to turn iron into gold. She says she's seen the other side and knows the place the fire burns all night. There is an answer to the question so long ago. It's a hard real life every day. Once you have it, it never goes away. It's in the pocket when you really, really like like it and your fantasy becomes reality, living inside the imagination. It's in the pocket when you really, really like it, when your fantasy becomes reality, living inside the imagination. Your magic of the secret door, I could take you down and show you more. It's easy once you know the way. It's farther than the closest thing you are. You've got to walk right through that fire. It will not burn you. And the ones who may laugh all your life won't make it to just burn away. It's in the pocket when you really, really like it, when your fantasy becomes reality, living inside the imagination. It's in the pocket when you really, really like it, when your fantasy becomes reality, living inside the imagination. You've got to walk right through that fire.